Hi everybody, Kim here. Okay, so today we're going back to cults and churches that were considered cults. Today isn't a major church, but it's one that pretty much everybody has heard of, and that's the Branch Davidians. I'm not going to look at the ATF raid of the Branch Davidian compound in Waco, Texas. I'm going to look at David Koresh himself. Why people followed him. How he became a cult leader. Because there's no denying he led a cult. And I looked at the encyclopedia, I read articles, I watched news reports about him. Why anybody followed him. I'm still struggling to comprehend that. Now I am going to leave certain parts out that are hard to report on, and I'm sure it's hard for you all to listen to. So we just need to figure out, or to understand, David Koresh was born in 1959. And he was actually born as, get this, not David Koresh. He was born Vernon Howell. And when he was growing up, as a child, he said that he had a vision from God, and God told him he was the chosen one. He was the Messiah, which he believed the whole rest of his life, that he was the Messiah. And by the time he was 18, he said he had memorized the entire Bible, Old and New Testament. And so that's just kind of hard to grasp. Not that he memorized it, but that he really believed he was the Messiah. And he joined the Branch Davidian, he started the Branch Davidians, but it was the Brand Davidians, which was a splinter group off of the Seventh-day Adventists. And it was started by Victor Houteff, who died in 1959, and his wife took over the Brand Davidians. And she had a pretty special relationship with Vernon, and said that he was going to be her predecessor. When she was gone, he would take over the church. And then in 1993, she went, no, I made a mistake. He's not going to be my predecessor. And I also made a mistake in when I said the world was going to end and when Jesus was going to come back to the earth. The Branch Davidians were a splinter group of the Brand Davidians, which was a splinter group of the Seventh-day Adventists. Now, he was kicked out of the Brand Davidians, because he was trying to recruit for his spiritual teachings. He was trying to recruit based on his belief that he was the Messiah. And it's just... So when he was kicked out, he took his followers and he started a compound in Waco, Texas. Now, when they started the compound, there was no electricity, no running water. It was pretty horrific conditions, if you ask me, to live without water and electricity. But he told the people that followed him about the Branch Davidians that, you need to just cut yourself off from the world. You need to focus on our group. You need to ignore the world that's full of sin and pleasures of the flesh and just be spiritual. So these people that followed him, some were married couples, some were single. And he also would go off on his own because he was a rock star in his mind. He was going to be a rock star, and he changed his name to King David when he was a rock star. But then he officially changed his name to David Koresh. And he tried to use his music to reach a lot of people to grow the Branch Davidians. Now, for followers of the cult that lived there, he told married couples that they were to be celibate. And he also told all other members of the church they were to be celibate. And he married a lady named Rachel. He had a couple children with her. And then he said, married couples are to be celibate. If anybody is going to have relations, it's to be with me. So he was fathering children with other women of the group. He was becoming spiritually married to other women of the group, even though he was still married to Rachel. She was his legal wife. And he was telling these people that, I'm on a message from God. If anybody knows what movie that refers to. And that he was the only one that could interpret the Bible correctly. So, he needed to be the big person within his following, and also he was trying to grow his following because he was the Messiah. But he also started to tell the women that they had to wear long blouses, long dresses, no skin showing. They were not to wear any jewelry, no makeup. And he controlled what they ate. Like, they couldn't eat processed sugar. They couldn't eat any dairy products. And as far as the dairy products, especially the milk is baby food. You're an adult. You don't need milk. And I don't know if that was because he was planning on having all these children with all these women in the group, but he needed to make sure they had their milk. And it's just amazing that people bought into this. People that they've interviewed that have left the Branch Davidians, they're like, it was a cult. I'll tell you what it was. It was a cult. And people were supposed to be so obedient. If they weren't obedient, they were punished in a corporal way. And they would be punished in front of the other followers. And he did the same thing to children. He punished the children who weren't being as obedient as he felt they should be. and all the children were raised in fear. And like I mentioned before, he had children with more than just Rachel. Rachel was his legal wife, but he had children with other women. And it didn't matter what, they didn't really listen to what he was saying. And maybe, I'm the type, I was raised, read and listen to everything with a bit of skepticism. Do your own research. See if that's really the truth. But Koresh would separate families. Like, there were people who joined that were married, that already had families, and they would separate them. They weren't to live all together. And it's really hard. I mean, the children were taken away and given to other women to raise. Women were taken away from their husbands. And, like I said, there's a lot of it that I don't understand. And when he was telling these people, the end of the world is coming, we need to prepare. We need to arm ourselves. We need to make sure that we have everything stockpiled, food, ammo, everything. And it's really hard. And after the siege at Waco, which I'm not going to get into, a lot of the children and women ended up dying for David Koresh. And the fact that women would allow their children to die really, really gets me. That they wouldn't just... And the sad thing is, the Branch Davidians, albeit a small group, still exist. Even though David Koresh isn't around anymore, he's gone, he's dead. They still believed what he was saying, and they continued to live the way he made them live. And it's hard to understand how people believe that. So that's the not the Branch Davidians, but that's David Koresh and his hand in the Branch Davidian group. And I think some people stayed with the Branch Davidians because they believed that David Koresh was going to rise again, that he would return from the dead and continue to lead them. So, the fact that they still exist today, even though they have a new leader, all I can say is I really hope their new leader isn't like David Koresh and isn't brainwashing them with the same information. Like I said, I didn't touch on the Waco siege. I didn't want to touch on the Waco siege. The Waco siege has been done ad nauseum, but I wanted to really dive into David Koresh so that we could see how his mind worked and what he believed. One of the reasons he only allowed women to be with him is because he was the only one that had seed good enough to be spread. Which is just, it's amazing. But tomorrow we're going to go back to the LDS church, and we're going to talk about the splinter groups of the LDS church. Some are cults, some are not. They all believe the same basic things. That's for tomorrow. And Gus has been so good today. But please, like, share, subscribe, leave comments. I read out comments. I respond to them. And I've put off doing the live stream, which I really would like to do live streams. But I've put it off for now just until things kind of calm down more. I get a lot more research done. And then we'll go to the live. And I'll be able to answer questions on the live stream if you make a comment. Just like I'll respond if you comment on this. Okay, well, you all have a great day, and I will see you tomorrow. Bye.